Hello! So today's video, the topic is definitely just a day in the life kind of topic. And for those of you who are from Mexico, this topic will probably seem very basic and maybe why would I make a video on it? But as a foreigner moving here to Mexico, it took me and it took Justin and I some time to adjust to these differences of the basic utilities of water and gas and how they work here in Mexico. So when we first moved here and we were looking at houses, many of them would talk about tanks of water and like the size of the tank, and that seemed like it was a selling point for us. And I didn't understand why, and I didn't understand at all how it worked. And then after a little bit of time here, I did learn that we had our own tank and that it would be filled up several times a week by water that would flow from the municipality, and that water was then ours to use until the next time that water would flow to our neighborhood. And that was pretty much the gist of what I understood. So this is now probably like a year ago, a few months after living here. We turned on our water or like a faucet, the shower, I don't exactly remember which one. And we had no running water to our house, and we're like, oh no, we ran out of water. And I thought, oh no, like we used all the water and it hasn't flown to our neighborhood for a while. So we went around and talked to some neighbors, and they all said, no, we have water. And we're like, what happened? And they said, well, did you check your llave or your key? I'm like, what? I don't understand. So one neighbor came over and kindly showed us that we have like a little switch. And if it was one way, we closed off our ability to get water from the neighborhood, and if it was the other direction, when it would flow in, it would fill up our tank. And some kid, whether it was ours or a neighborhood kid, had just played with it and turned it off. And so when water had flowed to our neighborhood for the last few weeks, we weren't receiving any water. So after that experience of running out of water and of having to bathe with drinkable garrafon water, boiling it on the stove for the kids until the water flowed, we learned more about water. So first of all, we know now that it flows to our neighborhood 3 times a week, and it's our responsibility to keep that llave, that key, open so we get our water. I also now know that our tank under our house, which is called a cistern in English, cisterna in Spanish, that it fits 10,000 liters of water, which is a lot of water, plenty of water for us. And that water then is pumped through a water system, or through a system, to our house, and also pumped through our water heater to heat water, like for our showers. So that's the basics of how our water works. Some families have what's called a tinaco, or it's kind of almost like a big dish on the top of their roofs that can catch rainwater, but also fills up similarly with the water that runs to neighborhoods, and that's what they use. They're typically smaller maybe than the big systems that are underneath the houses, but that's how people have water here in Mexico. I also found out that there are times that the water doesn't flow to the neighborhoods, and when that happens, if we run out of water, which did happen one time to our whole neighborhood over the Christmas vacation. I don't know if they were just on holiday, the workers, and didn't open up the valves to allow water to our neighborhood, but all of us ran out of water a little after Christmas, and we were thinking, shucks, again, we need to boil our drinkable water until water eventually comes to our neighborhood. But a neighbor taught us that we can call a water company, and they'll bring a big water truck out called a pipa, and they can fill it up for us from their big trucks, which is much more affordable, much more convenient, because we don't have to boil the water. It can go through our typical heating system in our house. And so that was a great thing to know, that you can call a pipa if you run out of water. So that has been our experience with water and figuring it out and learning it. And just to me, it was definitely a learning curve. And I feel much more empowered now understanding how to be sure we all have water. Gas, that is the other utility I wanted to talk about. And that is definitely our most used utility, our most expensive, but it heats everything in our house. It runs our stove, our water heater, as well as our clothes dryer. And so gas is really important. And that also is something that we have to be on top of, because if we run out of gas, we no longer have hot water and we can't cook. And that has happened to us as well. So our gas tank is on the roof of our house, and it is a large tank. I actually don't know exactly how much it can fit, but I know because it's larger, we don't need to manually bring our tank to get filled up at a gas station, but instead we call companies who bring their gas trucks to our house and they fill up our gas for us at our home. And when we lived in Veracruz, the first time we had a smaller gas tank, so we personally brought it to gas stations and filled it up. And these gas stations, it's kind of surprising. They really do look like gas stations for your car. And actually, for the whole time we've lived here, I mistook one gas station that actually fills up the gas tanks for your home as a gas station for a car. Luckily, I never pulled up and tried to fill up there, but they look very similar, and that is another way that people get their gas. But that's a utility that has taken me some time to get used to, and it just has to be on my mind because it's our responsibility to fill up our own gas tank. So I just found out our gas tank fits 300 liters. So yeah, it's a good sized gas tank, and which is very nice because we're really not very on top of filling it up. So that doesn't have to happen very often for us. So that's the information I have, the basic information about water and gas here in Mexico, and kind of my perspective as a foreigner figuring it out. I would love to hear if you have any funny stories about maybe your experiences, or some other tips or information that I might be missing since I'm still figuring it out. Like, subscribe, share, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.